Hi, Mark here from the Tangent-Bound Podcast Network and host of the flagship show, the Tangent-Bound Podcast. Did you know that we over at Tangent-Bound are always looking for amazing podcasts to promote? And did you also know that we are also proud nerds and geeks of everything from movies, music, gaming, TV shows, and comic books to wrestling, MMA, soccer, and football? Whatever you can nerd or geek out about, we've got it. And if you're interested, we can help you find it. And if you're a show looking for a place to call home, we've got you covered. Side effects may include upset stomach, dizziness, tumors, shakes, and in some rare cases, death from excessive laughter. Though to be fair, it's only sometimes. Other side effects may include diarrhea, gallstones, heart palpitations, and strong desire for cookies on the dark side. Talk to your doctor and visit TangentBoundNetwork.com and see if Tangent-Bound Network is right for you.
We're not doctors, therapists, trained professionals of any kind, so if you feel you do need help, please reach out and get the help you need. We have a whole list of things on our files page over on Facebook at facebook.com/crazylifepodcast, and or just search on the internet for the suicide prevention hotline number, or go to NAMI.org or whatever resource you can find. But just please reach out for help if you need it. If you feel as though you're going to harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. And try not to be alone. Also, if you feel that way and you realize that you're writing a note or making plans of how you would do, like harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. That's a huge red flag. And lastly, please do not replace the idea of therapy with listening to this show. Again, if you need help, please reach out and get the help that you need, or contact us. We can try to help you find the help that you need.
Life sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. Life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time, stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
Welcome to The Crazy Life, everyone. My name is Jen. I am your hostess for the evening, and with me, as always, we have Brian and Henno. Hey, guys, how's it going?
Yo.
Hey.
Tentative guy isn't with us today.
No, he's not.
He isn't?
There's almost some authority there.
Yeah, almost. Almost. Yep.
Who wants to start us off this week?
Crickets. No, I will.
Yep.
So I was supposed to have via, telehealth. I was supposed to have therapy yesterday, and the text that they send out a little bit beforehand didn't get delivered to me. My appointment was at 3:45. I got the text at 4:30.
Oh no.
And I'm like, huh. So I had already had to put whoever made the last appointment, my therapist wasn't in the office that day. So it wasn't even an available appointment time. And so now I got to do it again, and it sucks because I really could use it. I really need to. So I got to call tomorrow. I forgot to call today. I got to call tomorrow and kind of emphasize that it's important to see if that can, maybe give me, so I don't have to wait 3 weeks or something like that, Or if nothing else, I can maybe call me but directly so that I can schedule with her, so she can, work something out for me or whatever. But, it stinks when, I don't mind the telemed stuff, But it's like when I know I have an appointment at the office, I get up and I go. You know what I mean? And like you go there and okay, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then it happens. With this stuff, they text you ahead of time, glitch or something like that. It's like, well, I missed an appointment that to me was a pretty important one, and it sucks because it's like I didn't do anything wrong except for some reason the text just didn't go through. I don't know if that's on their end or my end or a delay or some sort. It just happened, you know. So I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. Like my mom, or not my mom, Jim that lives with us, he had an appointment with his doctor and they called ahead of time. They didn't text, they called, you know, and I was like, see, that would have been better. Because if they had called me and said, hey, we're, you know, air quote, checking you in for your appointment, you know, it would have been better. Because then I would have, because I was awake, I was sitting here, I was waiting. And, you know, then I would have been like, oh, okay. And then have them be like, oh, like then if they go, we're going to text you, you know, a link, I go, okay. Because then if I don't get it and go, yeah, I still haven't got it, you know, instead or whatever. So. I don't know. I might do that. I might see if they have an email option instead or something, or see if they could do both, you know, that way I have multiple, ways at it, but you know, what can you do? It sucks, but whatever. But yeah, rough week. Like our one here, like either been like humid and hot or nice and cool. The problem for me always is, when it changes every like 2 to 3 days, my sinuses do not adjust. So I just have a constant headache and have for 4 days now. Like even right now, I've got a headache. It's not horrible. It's just a dull ache that is there and won't go away. But it gets worse as the humidity changes. So like last night, it got bad because it was like midnight. I think it was still like 83 here, which normally that time of night, we're, you know, in the 60s, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like things did not cool down at all. And the humidity was going up as the night went on. So I slept like garbage last night. You know, so that certainly doesn't help either. But, and then, you know, of course, like the stuff with, you know, that's going in the world is heavy, you know, it's super heavy. And I kind of feel like my depression because of the isolation stuff has been running pretty, it's been ramping up, and which is why I really wanted to, you know, talk to my therapist yesterday. And I, you know, normally my escape would be social media. There's no escape right now, you know, because just people don't feel like making jokes and being chatty because the world's so heavy right now here. And I don't think that should change. You know, we all need to have these conversations and these posts and stuff, but it for somebody with mental health issues or, you know, with depression, my brain already makes my life heavy. And then when the world is heavy on top of it, it's like, okay, I need to find some light here, you know, and it's been harder to do lately. Also because I feel guilty because I feel like if I'm chasing a distraction, I feel like I'm not doing enough to help with what's going on, you know, and I want to be an ally. I want to help because that's who I am, you know. But like you, Jen, you mentioned before we were recording here, kind of, you know, being an empath, essentially. I've always been a sponge for emotion. You know, I hate seeing people hurt. I hate seeing people, you know, in those kind of positions. So it's like, I want to do everything I can, but I also know, as we've talked on here plenty of times, you know, I have to make my cup is full also, because I can't help if my cup is empty. And that's been a real hard, I'm having a really hard time navigating that space. And much like I said on Salty Language, I also want to point out, I full on understand, you know, my privilege in the whole scenario here. I understand that I am in a comfortable place to where I can look at things and do these things and am not threatened. But that doesn't mean that my situation isn't valid either, you know? So I need, like right now, it's like I feel like, you know, I need help. And unfortunately, because of a glitch in the texting thing, I wasn't able to get the help I needed yesterday. Now, I do know if I call my therapist and say, hey, this is an emergency, something will probably get worked out for me. But I hate doing that because I know there's other people who have emergencies, I have a hard time prioritizing myself. Like, I don't want to be rushed to the front of the line because I don't know what other people's problems are. Maybe they need it as bad as me, but maybe they don't vocalize how bad they need it, so, it is a really tough spot to be in. And it's also tough because it's an unprecedented spot. I've never been, the world's never this heavy at one time for me. Between, the pandemic and the civil rights stuff going on, and then my depression on top of it, and, all this stuff clicking all at the same time. It's been a really hard week for me. And I've really just wanted to I don't know how else to put it. I just want to stay in bed with the covers over my head, and just like you said, Jen, it's the position of you just want to bury your head in the sand and pretend it doesn't exist, basically,
Mm-hmm.
But I can't, it's not in me to completely do that either. So I'm just having a real hard time finding my footing right now. So, and I'll get through it. I'll be fine. I'll find the help I need and all that kind of stuff. It's like, I'm not in any sort of I'm not in any sort of extremely bad way or whatever, but, I just want to put it out there because I just wanted other people to know that it's okay to feel this way right now. Like, it is, and we all have our own struggles, and yes, you can also help other people with their struggles while you're struggling. You do have to make sure that self-care is being, so, if you are going through what I'm going through right now, please reach out to your support system, no matter what they are, and, try to help. But also, as I say at the end of every show, also reach out to other people and kind of make sure they're doing okay too. So, and just be kind. So, so there you go. I think that's about it.
Awesome. So kind of along the same lines, I've been having, it's weird because I have these moments of, I'm having a really good day, the sun's shining, and then I'm feeling really good, and then it hits me, I'm like, all this awful stuff's happening as well in the world. Mm-hmm. And it, I hate to say you feel guilty, but it is almost, you do have a guilt associated with it. It's like, I have no right to be feeling so happy because all of this anger and sadness and stuff is happening. And
it's very similar to survivor's guilt.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. You can't, and I have to stop myself from literally doing that. And I posted, because everybody has been posting their feelings and how they're doing with everything going on. And my post was, my gift is my open heart. I live and love freely and completely. I don't have the armor built up to deal with this anger and hate. I wish I could fight on the front lines like many do, but I'm not equipped to do that. Instead, I will love all of you and do my best to bring joy. And that's kind of where I had to come with things. It's like, it's not what I can't do, it's what I can do. Mm-hmm. And what I can do, and what I do have the gifts to be able to offer, is to really reach out and try to just be a comfort for those that need comforting, a safe place for those who need, and to just keep myself completely open and just accepting of everyone and trying to work our way through this all together. I mean, it is really one of those moments in the world that we can't really, as much as we want to look ahead and as much as we want to plan for the future, we just have to deal with one day at a time at the moment and just get through what we're dealing with right now, and it's it's so hard because as a people, we like to plan and we like to set things in motion and have this, grand scheme and big perspective what's going to change, what we can do to make this change happen. And right now, it's too much. It's too much to take on. We have to start with the small things and just get all of this big, heaviness stuff that we're dealing with.
Yeah. Well, and another thing to keep in mind in that too is much like we talk about with mental health is that this other stuff going on in the world, whether it's the pandemic or the civil rights stuff, it's not a sprint. It is a long run,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to take time and patience and everything. But it's also one of those, like, we want to fix things right now. Like, we want the pandemic to go away. We want civil rights, we want equality. We want, we wish we could just snap our fingers and everything would be great. It would be so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have to understand that we can't, even if you're doing everything you can't fix everything right now. Like, it's going to take time.
Absolutely. And that's really what it comes down to, is just biting off what you can chew and just taking it one moment at a time, 1 hour at a time, one step at a time, one day at a time, whatever you can do to get through and safely get through this. That's what we talked about it many times on here. Don't let yourself get so overwhelmed with everything going on. Yeah. And, it's different. I think that's the tough thing is we have a tendency to compare ourselves to others and to judge ourselves against others. And you just can't do that right now. You have to judge yourself against yourself. Try to be better than the person you were yesterday, type of a thing.
Yeah.
And that's why every time I catch myself trying to say, well, they're doing more or than I'm doing, or I should be doing more, but this is going on. And I have to stop and say, I have to do what I'm able to do. And I have to accept myself for the person that I am, flaws and all. I may not be the perfect person that I would love to be, but what I can is what I will do, and really kind of focus on that. I talked about it very loosely on the show before, is I consider myself an empath, and that I soak up emotions even through the TV.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to even be a person. I can't physically watch this stuff. I can't. It would destroy me. I would end up in a ball of tears and wrecked for days on end if I let in that type of volume of emotion that's going on right now, let alone the anger. I mean, it would literally render me useless for a while, and it wouldn't move anything forward. So I have to do what I'm able to do. What's about is, tapping into what can you do. Don't focus on what you can't do or what you are unable to do and somebody else might be able to. That's great. Yourself and look what you can do to, I think that's the more we can focus on that, we all are going to be.
Yeah.
Agreed. So, that's kind of where I'm at with everything. I mean, everything else is pretty, thankfully, and I'm probably going to be working from home for another 3 weeks, which is nice because I get a chance to see my husband a little bit more than I usually do, which is nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is nice.
So I got that, and then, everything else in life is my life is pretty good right now, and I'm very thankful for that. And it's for me to say that my life's pretty good right now, and I have to be accepting of that, and that's it's a weird statement to say that you have to be okay with your life being good, but in the scheme of things, it's tough sometimes to say that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Hanno, how are you doing?
Pretty good, like you, everything in the general life arena is good and moving along and nothing really different. And, I'm happy that I have close friends in other parts of the country, so I can connect with people that are more, let's just say, intimately dealing with things that are going on.
Mhm.
Not that it allows me that opportunity to say, how are you doing? Are you okay? Or to just chat or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's at least right now it comes, I think, in my own emotional sort of just feeling like in a weird place. It does come down to those little things, like trying to be of service where you can, trying to have the right attitude, trying to find some hope, trying to find some humor, but also not accepting, I have no other way of putting it, but just flat out BS.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
I can't, and that's the part of it where I want to just shut everything off, but I can't, because there are things that I can't accept. I can't.
Right.
And then it's just finding where to, because there is that urge to just, shut it all down. And it's not so much about I think one of the issues for me right now is this ain't the first time. It ain't the second, it ain't the third, it ain't the fourth. I'm old enough, lived through it enough. And when you hear the same stuff over and over and over again, what I like is my attitude has changed towards many things.
Yeah.
And that's the good part. And that's the part where I bring it back to, what we're doing here is my tools are so much better for dealing with it. My ability, it's gratitude from the gifts I've been given that I can have conversations with people and try to turn it around to something positive and not dwell in the negative, especially when I'm talking to someone that they're emotionally being affected right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened at work today. And I just, like you're talking about, you guys were talking about, just like, it's just time. Everything there. It's a process. These are all processes. They've always been. As much as we want to jump in and critique or whatever it is, it all takes time. And so then you have to look at, well, was that time, poorly spent or well spent on whatever it is, whether we have a couple of huge events that have happened, and both of them can be looked at in those ways.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, I think like one thing that's weird, tomorrow I'm going to be installing a stereo system in they've got Sprinter vans, expensive rolling piece of equipment that they've modded the heck out of, and I'm about to put in amps and door speakers, and there's just something about it where I'm like, wow, I really don't want to do this while weird stuff going on. But again, it's like this might be their way of escaping.
Yeah.
Their way of, they're actually, it's a really cool, they do the van, he's a photographer, and it's one of those stories where he was on some other career path and decided to go back to whatever and be this and then about dogs, and it took off. It's this coffee table book about dogs, and all the money goes to rescues.
Oh, awesome.
That's awesome.
And so this van is their way of traveling around the country and doing these photo shoots and getting their books out there and doing and the various places where the money from the sales goes to helping and that kind of thing. So there's a part of it that's like, okay, it's kind of a good cause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least
That's
there's
cool.
that, right? That does help. I mean, that does help in the end, that you feel like it's not just somebody going, oh man, I'm going to be rocking the block with my van. It's like, I'm you're doing something for somebody who is out there trying to do some good.
Yeah, that was the first part. That's what it was like. I was like, oh Lord, really? It was like,
right.
you don't need to have a concert in that thing.
Yeah.
You're just driving around the country,
Mm-hmm.
Like, do they do like audio presentations or something with it? Like, do they open it up and then use that as like their amplifiers and stuff?
No, it has nothing to do with that.
Oh, it's just to have a good sound. Okay. I was trying to make it into something bigger, and no. All right.
Let's dial it back a notch. This doesn't
All
have to be a PA system. It has to be appreciated. It so yeah, it was fun. But anyhow, speaking of fun, we're gonna have a fun topic.
Yay! We need something light.
Just something fun and silly. All right, everybody. I've got 7 surprising facts about left-handedness in animals.
First off, I didn't even know animals had a left or right dominance.
Exactly.
I didn't either. I didn't either. But I'm.
Is great.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't either, but I'm not surprised, because like our brain, the way it works and stuff. So it's like, well, I guess sure. And I'll know they do seem to go for a dominant. Like they do seem to reach with one paw more than the other, or whatever. So I don't know as well with dogs. 'Cause I haven't had dogs, but
Well, we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
Left-handedness in animals is more common than you think.
I guess so.
I find it interesting because it says about 10.6% of humans are left-handed. That's from a study from 2020.
Including
What
me?
about animals?
Yep.
Now, my mother, I always thought she was right-handed, but she was one of those ones that was left-handed and then got her hand whacked over and over again.
Oh, now see, I'm from a generation to where that wasn't happening. But like when I was a kid, I had teachers try to force me to write with my right hand, because if you ever notice anyone who's a left-handed person, most of us, it looks so uncomfortable because so many of us got to like, and I don't. Like, I've never been one that's had to, like, turn the notebook or what. Like, there's a need to, like, turn the page to write. I've never been one of those. I pretty much keep it fairly straight. I tilt it a little bit, but not much. But with me, I do left-handed simply because that's how we're taught. Like, when you're, whatever people teach you, plus the world is built that way.
Yeah, exactly. The equipment and the tools.
People don't even realize how right-handed, but... so we have to learn, and like with me, I right left hand, but if you took that as, if that's how you determine handedness, that's, but aside from that, I do a lot of stuff. I can do a lot of stuff with either hand. So I'm actually probably fall more toward, I'm left-handed, but I fall more toward, like, I can't do everything with either hand. Like, I can't throw worth a dang with my left hand. I throw right-handed. I always have. Throwing left-handed, it's the worst thing. It'd be like one of those, terrible throwing videos you'll see on like YouTube or something. But I bat left-handed. But I also, when I was a little kid, I could bat okay right-handed. I wasn't as good. Left-hand, I was much better, but I got okay with my, if I turned it around. I've had various things like that. I can eat with either hand. I'm more dominant one way than the other, but it's interesting to me how, whereas I have a brother who's, well, 2 brothers actually, that's weird. Dad had 3 sons, 2 of them are left-handed. My mom had 2 sons, both of them are left-handed. So, very weird, that because the number you just gave is, but within my very immediate family.
Yeah, you have quite a few.
I have quite a few actually. Yeah. So, it's very weird to have that, but it did help me because having a left-handed brother, when he taught me stuff, I learned left-handed, but when I went to school, most of my teachers were right-handed, this and that and whatever. And don't even get me started on left-handed scissors. But anyway, sorry, I just took this a whole different. Yeah.
Well, initially thought only humans could be left-handers, but not too long ago, and this is 2013, they thought that left and right-handedness was something that was typical for humans, but could not be observed in animals because of the fine motor, like writing and where we have very strong preferences. But the research was showing that it wasn't the case, and that many animal species showed handedness or more accurately limb preference.
Right.
So now they know that many animal species do show left-handedness, the different forms of limb preference, such as pawedness in cats, or foot preferences in bees across the investigation from toads and lizards to birds and apes. Scientists found that 51% of the investigated species clearly preferred one limb over the other for motor tasks. Most humans prefer to use their right hand for writing. In 32% of species, individual animals were either left-handed or right-handed, but there was no clear preference for one side on the level of the population. Only in 7 species was there no evidence of left-handedness. Thus, limb preferences are the rule, not the exception in the animal kingdom. And that's something that I've always had, is I have limb preference.
Yeah.
That I'm primarily right-handed. However, I do certain things left-handed for I don't know why. For a reason like I throw a frisbee left-handed. I do more type thing left-handed. Well, except was usually they always put the lefty as the left forward.
Right.
Because that person can kick with their left foot. Well, I was told that I was going to be the left wing. But I've always kicked with my right foot. And so I had to learn, and this was in high school. And so I started practicing, and sure enough, I'd be, good with my left foot. I didn't have as much power, had a lot more accuracy, and to this day, my left tends to be where if it's a limb thing, my left will be more accurate than my right, but my right has more power.
Interesting. Huh. Now, I think with me, something else, and why, like in the limb preference thing, in a lot of ways, I tend to go right side of my body, is because my left eye is not as good as my right eye. So I think I tend to use my right, since that side of my body, my eye is dominant. So I think that's part of why I do things that way as well. Like if you throw something at me, I'm not going to put my left hand up to catch it. Yeah. I'm either going to catch it both hands or more likely with my right hand. And it was just like in baseball. Part of the reason I preferred batting left-handed is when you're standing there, your head's turned, but my right eye is looking at the pitcher. So it gives me the opportunity to pick up the ball quicker. With my left eye, I have a harder time determining rotation. So it's literally more dangerous for me to because to get hit in the head, I don't have the response time that I have with my right side. So I was thinking about when you were talking about kicking though, and I was like, I kick with my right foot. I don't kick with my left. I kick with my right. I can kick with my left, but ball in front of me and just said, kick this. I'm going to kick it with my right foot. Yeah. So that's interesting.
This next one made total sense to me. Cats are more likely to be left-handed. Did you know that left pawedness in cats is much more commonness in humans? And I think about that, and I think about all the cats I've had.
Yeah.
I've had most of their pawing with their left paw.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So, yep.
In 2019, there was a study that they found when you categorize into 2 pawedness categories, left pawed and right pawed, 54% were right pawed. And then they went into 3 categories, left pawed or no clear preference, 30% were right, 25% showed no preference. So left pawedness in cats is 3 to 4 times more likely to occur as left-handedness in humans.
It makes you wonder why. Like, I wonder what it is about them that makes them prefer that side. Like I said, with me, part of mine is my eye, but as far as picking up a pen, oh, by the way, I didn't mention, I can write kinda with my right hand. So, but it's nowhere near as good. But I also haven't practiced enough. If I put in the work, I might be able to write right-handed also. Yeah. But that's weird with cats, though. But it's true. I've seen a lot of cats that prefer their left.
Yeah. And yet I've always just thought, I never considered it as handedness. I always just thought that they could go either way. They just preferred this one.
Right.
But
yeah, it's interesting.
I always just assume with animals it was based on like which side, like if they're laying down or which side the threat is on, basically, or whatever. That's what they chose. But I didn't know they actually had a preferred. Now that makes sense though, because like cats playing with toys or whatever, or like if you throw a treat at my cat, she will try to block the paw than her right paw.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. It makes sense that. And it doesn't matter which, she doesn't tend to go as much with her right to try to catch. She'll use her body more if she's going to her right. Going to her left, she uses her paw more. Much like a left hand, in baseball. when the ball's going to your right, you're trying to get your body in front of it. If you can't go to your left, you're going to get your glove in front of it because you can extend that way easier. So I think that's what it is with her. I do wonder though why. I wonder why it is. If it's just a. Does it say? Sorry.
No, it does. But they like dogs are the same, like pretty much. And I've never noticed it with my dogs. However, there's one thing that might is when you go snowboarding for the first time. Are you regular or goofy? Right? And you say, well, I don't know, because maybe you've never been on a skateboard before. You've never done anything.
Yeah, right.
So what they do is they make you stand, and then they push you from behind. It goes forward first. That's the way you go.
Okay, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I think that I know I'm pretty sure, like when Jackson Bogart, when they take off with the same foot forward. I've never really paid attention to it, but I'm pretty sure it's about right. I rarely see them do something different.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to pay attention to it.
I'm going to have to watch my dogs as well. And the other thing that kind of popped up when talking about cats is I was wondering if being pterodactyl would make any difference. Because pterodactyl is when they have 6 toes, 5.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that would make any difference at all, because it's just a genetic anomaly. And I'm wondering if this is the same way, like a disposition. I mean, I don't know. It's so unusual. I never would have even thought.
Yeah.
You definitely have to.
In some of the studies, they were even looking at the sex, if sex had to do with it. But there really wasn't enough to say one way or the other. Yeah.
Huh.
Well, interesting that
I always thought with cats it made more sense anyway because like notice with their paws.
Yes.
Like whereas dogs tend to stay on their 4 legs a lot of the time. A lot of times do things with their paws. They reach and grab with their paws more than dogs do.
Don't do that exactly.
Right. So I think that's why we probably maybe noticed it more in cats versus hadn't noticed it in dogs. Because like I said with my cat, I can tell you. How she, like when something's in front of her, she will reach with her left paw more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So flipperedness. Here's a creature paws, but still shows limb preference. So a 2010 study of the turtle investigated which hind was extended to cover eggs when the turtles were laying eggs. It did show a preference to use their right hind limb flipper to protect the eggs.
Huh. Interesting.
Even clawedness. While one might think that handedness might only be observed in higher organisms with complex nervous systems, that is not true. Handedness can be observed in comparatively simple nervous systems. For example, one study of the Japanese blue crab, a species common and eaten along the coast of East Asia, found that the crabs preferred to crack shells with their right claws. This shows that even invertebrate species show handedness.
Huh.
And this last one I love the most. Octopuses.
I was thinking that a few minutes ago. I was like, I wonder if octopuses were in this.
Funny.
So you would think that only animals that have 2 arms would show handedness, but it is not true. A study of the 8-armed octopus from 2006 showed that the octopuses displayed a clear preference for one specific arm to reach into an experimental maze to retrieve a food reward. This shows that limb preferences are not limited to organisms with 2 forelimbs like cats and dogs.
Huh.
That's funny.
That is
now,
crazy.
I will say there is a sensitive paw. Which any pet owner knows, there's almost always at least one paw that's the sensitive paw that, is a ticklish one or whatever. And both my dogs have it. My cats have always had it.
Yep,
and if you touch their paws, it's the one that they won't let you touch very much. They'll jerk it back. So almost every animal has that sensitive paw. Yeah. So I don't know if that's any relation to this, but it's
now with my cat.
It's always funny.
My cat's sensitive paw, I think, may have something to do with when she was a kitten. My mom had her sliding door open and went to shut it, and when she did, Callie just darted to run outside, and my mom shut her leg in the door, and it broke her leg. And she had surgery. She's fine. Like, you don't even see it when she walks. Like, there's no limp or anything like that. And it doesn't seem to hurt her at all. Like if you touch it or anything, she doesn't, it doesn't bother her. But I think it's that paw that if she looks at you like you just violated her in the worst way. She was laying on a couch and I was doing that. I touch the paw and she'd look at me like, how dare you? And then I do it again, and her eyes just get big, and just the look on her face was like, like it was just so funny how she's like that. And I think, I don't know. I can't remember if that was the side or if it was the other side, but if it's that side, I wonder if that has anything to do with which paw became the don't touch this paw.
So in the dog study, they primarily used food reaching.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be their thing that they do more often. And they used the hollow Kong filled with food, and then it moves around erratically so that the dog wouldn't limb to hold it down. They try to get out of it. So they used that as the way that they tested.
Okay.
To see, which paw did they use to pin that sucker down?
Okay, so if it's based on that, then Molly, the dog that we had last, was left pawed, because whenever we'd put her food on like a paper plate, and like a canned food or whatever, and when we put that down, she would always step on it with her left paw. Well, not always. She'd lick it around, and she'd keep moving the plate, and then finally stand on this, it won't move.
Hold it down. Yep.
So she would use her left to do it. So like otherwise I couldn't have given you anything to go off of.
Yeah. So that's the way that.
I was going to say, neither one of my dogs are really left or right. They're more mouth oriented. Like everything goes right because
that's very typical with their because think about it, they're always picking something up with their mouths.
Yeah, they use their mouths more than they use their paws.
It's funny though, because like not the cat I have now, but the cat before, Missy. Remember, like when she used her face most of the time. Like I had a open one time, and I'm thinking she's going to reach her paw in there and just pull a bunch out. Nope, stuck her whole head right in the bag. Cats don't put their heads in things because they don't want to get trapped. They do. I mean, there's plenty of cat videos out there, but a lot of times they will use a paw first, and she didn't. She just put her whole head right in the, I think I still have the video on my phone. Like she just sticks her whole head right in the bag.
That's funny.
Yeah. But this cat, it's weird because she uses her head a lot, but it's because this cat I have now, literally, you cannot scratch her head enough. Like, I think you could scratch all the hair, the skin, the bone. Like, you could start wearing the bone on her head and it still probably wouldn't be enough. Like, she never gets tired of having her head scratched. So when she goes up to things, she headbutts things. Which, I know is a way a lot of cats put things, because they have scent glands up by their, like, what would be our eyebrows. So they'll headbutt. She headbutts just anything, and then she will literally rub her face on everything. If you hold anything down for her, that's her first instinct, is rub her face on it. Like, rub the side of her face on it. So, but it's funny, but when it comes to, like I said, with treats and stuff, if you throw one and it bounces, she will run over and she tries to block it. Like she's trying to flag it down baseball, like that's what she's trying to do. Knock it down basically. And, but there's so many things that when she does it, she's paw oriented. The last cat, like I said, she would just stick her face in things. Like she tried to open doors with her face. She wouldn't use her paw. She would try to literally stick her face. I don't know what that was about, but yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, and so we'll have the link in the show notes, and if you go to that page, you can go to each individual topic. So you can get into the cat one, you can get into the dog one, how they did the test, what was their what was their method.
I like it.
Yeah, me too.
We needed a good, nice, light one today.
Yeah,
definitely.
like, for anyone listening, like we very much take everything going on in the world seriously. Like we're not being tone deaf to what's going on here. But as we mentioned here, it's like all of us do need a minute, back here. So, if you do, then hopefully this provided it for you and, what I needed. So that's what we went with.
And it's okay to smile. I give everybody permission. It's okay. It's a hard one right now. It's feeling okay smiling, but it is okay.
Yeah.
So with that, if you'd like to continue the conversation with us, we would love to hear from you, and you know how to contact us. You can reach us at thecrazylifepodcast.weebly.com is our website. The Crazy Life Podcast at outlook.com is our email address. If you would like to reach me direct, you can reach me via Twitter at WhitskeyDitz, WhitskeyDitz. You can also hear more from me if you'd like. I'm on Shake the Sheets. It's a pop culture talk podcast I do with my co-host Nate. So you can find that at any one of the regular podcast download sites. And you, Hanno, how can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Ida Heiter, Facebook Messenger, and the various other Instagrams and such. And my other podcast, Moving the Needle podcast, in this last week, we did our first What's Moving You of the new version of our podcast, where we basically talk about what we've been watching, what we've been binging on TV and that kind of thing. So we had a guest on and we had about 10 different things that we either praised or we put down quite thoroughly. So if maybe you want to discover something new on what's on TV, check out Moving the Needle podcast.
Nice.
And you, Brian, how can they reach you?
You can find me at Stunami on Twitter. You can find my other podcast at salty_language or at saltylanguage.com. Show's not safe for work, so please be aware of that. You can find this show on Twitter at I lost it. There it is. At The Crazy Life Pod, where I post when new episodes go up. But hopefully you won't need that because you're already subscribed, and please rate and review and all that garbage. Our Facebook group can be found at facebook.com/group/crazylifepodcast. We are part of the Tangent Bound Network, which can be found at tangentboundnetwork.com. So please go over there and check out some other shows. You may find some other stuff you enjoy. And I think that's all for all the links. But in the show notes, along with the article that Hanno's been citing through this episode, there's also a section where I have a thing that says helpful links, and it has the suicide prevention lifeline link there, and the number and the website for the crisis text line. But I'm also going to throw in, I saw from some various people, it's a link to a Google Doc, and it's got a bunch of different links if you want to help out with like the civil rights stuff that's going on right now, Black Lives Matters and some of the other like community things, or, if you want to, these aren't all financial ways. I think that it tells other things you can do and stuff. So if you're looking for that kind of links to that also. And, as I said earlier in the show, like if you need help, please reach out. Those numbers and stuff I said are in the show notes, but there's also other communities and whatnot, and just talking with other people, right? It's a coin flip. I know sometimes it can be incredibly aggravating. But also there's other people out there who feel the same way you do, that, are frustrated and want to help and different stuff. So, just, you're not alone. Just, please find help if you need it. And then also, reach out to your friends, make sure people are doing okay, and just, 'cause this is heavy for most of us, especially those that are frustrated with not knowing what to do, or feeling like they can't do enough, or whatever it is. So, just let people know that, much like the stuff with the pandemic, in a lot of ways, it's like do your best, just try to keep your heart in the right place, and don't be too, also, if you can't do this, like Jen said, if you can't do what person B is doing, that maybe that's just not in the cards for you, but, you can do what you can in the meantime. And then lastly, again, just please be kind. Please please, try to be kind to others and, listen when of their plight, no matter what the situation is, whether it's sexism, racism, mental health, just whatever they end up being. Just please listen to people, and don't immediately dismiss them or tell them how to feel or, what's the appropriate way for them to act on their feelings. So there you go. I think that's it. Just please be kind. Just please be kind and be safe.
Mm-hmm. So with that, folks, go out there, have the best week you possibly can. As Brian said, be safe, and let's all take care of each other. So we'll be here waiting for you next week. Have a good one.